Fox from the Scottish Socialist Party.
Thank you very much, Esther and Myrto. Thank you all very much for coming. It's a pleasure to be here, and I bring you the greetings of the Scottish Socialist Party. Proud to stand beside you today. It's fantastic that people have brought their own placards and own messages. I see one of the placards says, "Vote massively," which is fantastic. I don't know how you vote massively, but hey, carry on. It's the first time I've seen it. I'm in favour of that now. And I wanted to show you a poster that I've done. I brought along this poster, you know, so it's Oxy, and I brought a poster that says, "Foxy says Oxy." Foxy says Oxy. But Myrto and Esther told me it's not pronounced Oxy. It's pronounced Okay. So from now on, my name is Colin Foxy. I wanted to thank you all for coming. People here might know that I had the tremendous privilege of being invited to Athens in January for Syriza's famous election victory. The first election victory of a radical left-wing government in Europe since the 1930s. It was a fantastic achievement. And we stand here today in solidarity with Syriza, in solidarity with its achievement, solidarity with its record, because it was a government elected on Burns Night. How appropriate. Elected on Burns Night, the 25th of January, on a programme to challenge international capital and the idea that they govern Greece, that they can impose austerity on the Greek people. That programme was carried massively by the Greek people on January the 24th, and it was one of the privileges of my life to be there and to share it with our comrades and friends in Syriza. But you know, 10 years ago, a 250,000 people marched through this city. Do you remember? A 250,000 people marched through this city to make poverty history. 10 years ago. Hands up if you were on that march. Fantastic. And you'll be able to remember the centrepiece of the demand of the Make Poverty History campaign was to ensure that the third world countries' bad debts and unpayable debts were written off. That's what that demonstration was about. 250,000 people through Edinburgh to make poverty history. Now those of us who were there, the churches, the NGOs, the charities who organised it, might be accused of being naive and thinking that the G8 would ever make poverty history. Might be naive in the thought that they were part of the problem. They were the problem. They weren't the solution. But the fact remains, we were right to call for those debts to the third world should be paid off 10 years ago. And making poverty history, well, poverty hasn't become history. Poverty has got worse in the last 10 years throughout the world. And I remind you of that 10 years ago, because the centrepiece of what we are demanding here today outside this embassy is that we demand that Greece's unpayable bad debts are written off. That's the message for the peoples of the world. Because those debts, let's not forget, those debts weren't run up by the Greek people. Those debts of £330 billion weren't run up by government public expenditure. £330 billion was spent bailing out private, reckless Greek banks, just as the same process occurred in this country, bailing out RBS and HBOS and the rest of them. So we know exactly what's happening in Greece. The money men are convicting us of a crime we didn't commit. They're forcing austerity on us and on the Greek people, and they're letting the real culprits go free. So our message to the Troika from Edinburgh, from the whole world I'm sure, is to say that the Troika are responsible for the debts, the Troika are responsible for the collapse in the Greek economy, and the Troika stand accused by the peoples of the world of implementing a failed programme in Greece for the last 10 years. They're the failures, they're responsible for the cut in pensions and wages and public services in Greece, and we, the peoples of the world, hold them responsible. So I want to say this to you on behalf of the Scottish Socialist Party. I'm sure that Myrto and Esther will be telling people back in Athens and Thessalonica and Greece that we're here in solidarity with them. that were inspired by them. We're proud of what they've done, and we stand completely behind their objective to secure a no vote tomorrow. But I want to say this to you in final. The final thing that I'm sure you want us to send to Myrtle and Esther. Tell the comrades and their friends in Athens about George Lansbury. George Lansbury was a famous London councillor in the East End of London in the 1930s who decided that he would go to jail rather than implement laws that involve breaking the poor. And George Lansbury famously said, "It's better to break the law than to break the poor." And that's the motto we send today to Syriza. Syriza is implementing better to break the law than to break the poor. Viva Syriza!